Welcome to the fourth session of the Python Data Apps course. Today, we'll be talking about customizing the layout of your app. We're also going to dive into more advanced features of the dash callback, like dash state, no update, prevent initial call, and a few other things. Dash Bootstrap components is what you see here on the screen. We'll go into the home page to the components. It's an open source library built on top of Dash, and it allows you to control the layout of your Dash app, right? So you can decide where you want to put each component or where you want to position each component on the page. Now this is fully integrated with Dash, so any component that you build within Dash or any component that you build within Dash Bootstrap components like the alert, the badge, the button, the card, is going to comply with the Dash Bootstrap theme and layout. Let's look at an example to see how this works. So I'm going to give you this link under the video so you can open Dash Bootstrap components library. I'm also going to give you this link under the video because I want you to copy it and paste it into the well-known Dash Wasm app. We've used this app many times, this platform in all the sessions before. If you have not used it yet, I'm going to paste this link under the video. Open your Dash Wasm in the browser. It will go to the first example here. So just copy paste this code from here that I just shared with you under the video and put it inside your WasmDash. Now we're going to do save and run, and we'll see that we have the Dash Bootstrap alert for 3 seconds before it disappears. 4 seconds actually, because we said alert the audience for 4,000 milliseconds. Now, in this case, in this app, you can see that we are using the Cyborg theme. First of all, we imported Dash Bootstrap components as DBC into our app. And now, for Dash Bootstrap components to actually work, we need to incorporate the DBC theme. You can choose many different themes. I'm going to show you right now all the available themes. Also going to be in the resource package under the video. But here is the link, bootswash.com default, and you can see all the themes here, right? The default is Bootstrap. So if I click on Bootstrap here, not click, but write Bootstrap, always has to be in capital letters, then this is the default theme. But if I want to see, let's say, Cyborg theme, which you see has a dark background and this kind of purplish color and orange color to the buttons, and this kind of styling, then I'll have to put here Cyborg. This is Bootstrap. Let me save and run, and you see that it's white. It's a different color. This is a different green. But if I put the Cyborg theme, Control Z, now you'll see that it's black and it's more like a neon green. Don't forget, always incorporate your Dash Bootstrap themes inside, assign them to the external style sheets when you instantiate Dash. Now, also, when you are using Dash Bootstrap, instead of doing like we did up until now, html.div, you should do dbc.container, right? It's another sort of div with a little bit of styling. dbc.container, and inside you can put anything you want. You can put the dash dropdown, dash checklist. You can put an HTML h1 as the header that you can see here. You can put the DBC alert. This is a Dash Bootstrap component alert if you want. Really any type of native Dash components or Dash Bootstrap components. Now let's see another example. We have our DBC button here. There's an HTML button in Dash, but let's use the button that comes with Dash Bootstrap. So I'm going to copy this. I'm going to go here, do comma, and add another line on line 13. And this is going to be our DBC button. It's going to say submit, as if we're going to submit something. Save and run. And now you see we have the blue button. It says submit, and it's blue because the color is primary. And we know that this is the correct color because if you go to the theme, the cyborg theme that we chose here, you'll see that to choose the color blue, you need to say primary, gray secondary, green success. Also in the Dash Bootstrap documentation, it will show you here, it'll give you an example, and then it'll show you with the code how to reproduce this example. In this case, reproduce these colors. All right, so we added our button to the cyborg theme inside our Dash app. Now, I'd like to focus our attention on layout and the callback in this session today, which is why I don't really have time to go into the class name property. This is the class name. But I am going to share with you a cheat sheet of values and just say a few words on this so you can assign the correct strings to the class name and customize the styling of your Dash app. Class name is what is typically used to style the Dash app. Layout, DBC components, is used for positioning the components in parts of the page. We'll see that in a second with row and columns. And class name is to really give some style to your app. So let's look at an example. Let's take this cheat sheet right here, also under the video in the resource package, and you'll see there's many different ways, classes you can use to style your app. And what I like about it, if you click on it, it will give you an example and code, right? So here we can actually round the corners of cards, buttons, alerts, anything you want. So in this case, let's say I want a pill, this one on the very right. We know that this is the string, so I'm going to copy this. I'm going to go back and I'm going to do this. Class name, we already have ME1, which we'll see what it is soon. Border, rounded pill, and now look at the button, how it's going to change to a pill format. Isn't that cool? All we did is we used the cheat sheet and we copied the style that we want into our class name. And to combine styles, you don't need a comma, you just need a space, right? ME1, let's see what ME1 means. Let's go down. ME1 means utility spacing margin. So ME, as the example here shows, 0, 1, 2, 3, it's just space to the right. There's 2 units of space to the right, 3 units of space, and so on and so on. Here, it doesn't make a lot of sense because there's nothing to the right of the button, but we do have a title above the button. So maybe if we wanted more space, we'll have to create the space above the button. And for that, we will need mtop. So let's say I want mtop. I'm going to do mtop 5 to create a lot of space between the title and the button. So we'll go here. We'll do this. And the order doesn't matter. I can do border first for the pill, and then I can do this. Space, MT5. And now look how I'm going to have more space above the button. It's margins. Nice. I have 5 units of space as in the margin top above the button. So explore the cheat sheet, use this to your benefit, and try different things within the class name of the button or any other components that you want to use. All right, now we're going to focus on the layout. So let's go back to the home page, components page of the Dash Bootstrap components, and we're going to go to layout. This is a great chapter to read, especially the first 2 or 3 sections, to learn how to position the components inside your app, how to manage the layout. All right, let's take this code right here. It's annex A right here. I'm going to share this with you as well. Annex A, and we're going to copy everything, and we're going to paste it inside our WasmDash. Save and run. And now you see that we have, let's do it this way. 2 rows of components, well, 3 rows of components. Let me make this even easier to teach by hashtagging this out and just doing this. All right, so as you can see in the code right here, we have our app layout, we have DBC container, and then we declare our row, right? Something is going to go inside the row, and after we declare the row, we declare our DBC column. Each DBC column component will take the width. In this case, it's a medium width size for the page, and a component inside the column component. Let's make it even easier. We'll call this width. I'll show you later how to do it with medium. All right, save and run. So here we're saying no matter what page size it is, a laptop, a desktop, a phone, the width is always going to be 4 for this component, 4 units wide. Now, it's very important for you to remember that you should imagine that every row, every DBC row, has a total width of 12 units, let's call it. 12, nothing more. It could be less, but not more than 12. So in this column component right here, in this column component, whatever I put in here, which is the DBC alert, is going to take the width of 4 units. The second one is also going to take, we'll put here the second one is also going to take 4 units of width, and then the third one will also take 4. Now I can do maybe 3, 3, 3. This will add up to 9, which means we'll still have some space here to the right, because the row will have 12 units of width of space, right? Horizontal space. So you always want to make sure that they all add up to 12 at the most, or under 12. It could be 3, 3, 3, 4, 4, 4, 2, 2, 2, which will take the space of 6, so about half the page. But if they surpass 12, then the rest of the components will just collapse into a new row. All right, let's take an example here. 6, 6, and 6. So the first two will equal 12. They're equal or smaller than 12, so they're going to stay on one row. And the third column component, although it is in the same row, it's going to collapse to another row, because altogether this is 18. And 18 is much more than 12, right? So always keep that in mind. All the column components, dbc.call, inside a DBC row should not surpass 12 units of width. If they do, after the number 12, the rest of the columns will collapse to a new row. All right? Now, we can also assign keyword arguments that are called XS for extra small, SM. Let me do it right here so you see it. It might be hard to see. Maybe I'll do it here. This. XS for extra small, SM for small, MD for medium, large, extra large, and extra extra large. These keywords allow you to assign integers like we do here. 3 and 3 and 3 to large. And these keywords will override the width keyword and specify the column behavior for that screen size or larger. Okay, make note of this last sentence. These keywords will specify the screen size, the column behavior for this screen size or larger. So we're saying here we have 4 different components here, right? This will be the, let's just take this out for a second so it's easier for you to see. Save and run. Now we'll see that we have 4 different components. Now, if the screen size is large or larger, which is all the way to the end, this is large. If the screen size is large or larger, then each one of these components, in this case alerts or cards, are going to take 3 units of space. Now, there's 4 components here and 3 per component. That means a total of 12, so all of them are in one row. However, this will also be the case for the screen size or larger. So even if it's extra large screen, it's also going to be 3, 3, 3, and 3. But if it's not large screen, if it's anything below, if it's medium, small, extra small, then it's going to take the width of 6. And because the width of 6 plus 6 equals 12, only the first 2 components will be in one row, and the last 2 will be in the second row. So these 2 components here will stay up in the first row, and these 2 are going to collapse to the second row as soon as my screen size is smaller than large. You see? Medium, small, and extra small. So always remember this. You can use the keywords to define the column behavior in these rows for that screen size or higher. Anything below this screen size is going to collapse to whatever you define it, right? Maybe you'll define this as 12. 12, 12, and 12. And we'll say, instead of large, we'll say small. No, we'll say medium. Let's do medium. Medium, medium, and medium. So what do you think is going to happen here? Think about it for a couple of seconds before I show you the answer. What's going to happen here? What's happening here is when the screen size is medium, I didn't run it yet. When the screen size is medium, all these 4 components are going to be on one page, because these 3 times 4 equals 12. It's not going to be bigger than 12. However, if it's smaller than medium, if it's small or extra small, each component is going to have its own row, because it's going to take 12 units of space. Save and run. Now we see this is a size medium, all in one row, medium, large, and extra large. Large, medium. Now as soon as I make this smaller, the screen size is going to be small. Now everything is going to collapse to 4 different rows, because each component takes 12 units of space, which is the maximum allowed. All right, so this is Dash Bootstrap layout. A very good chapter, which will can be used to position components anywhere you want on the page. You can create multiple rows, multiple columns, have one part of the one component positioned top left, other bottom right. You can use, for that, you can use the vertical alignment right here. You see, one is top left, one is bottom right, all in the same row, using align, what do you call it? Align start, center, and end. So just a world of possibilities open up to you when you use the Dash Bootstrap layout. DBC column and DBC row. All right, if you do have questions about the layout, definitely ask them under the video, or go to the forum, which is even better, and ask them in the forum. We'll go here to our main community.plotly.com, and you can just tag it as an online course, and then you can ask your question. But I would suggest searching for the question first, because most likely these questions have been asked. All right, let's go to the advanced callback. Again, whatever I'm sharing here is going to be shared in the resource package, but today we're going to learn about the state. Copy this here. The state argument. Let's go back to our, I'm going to give you this code right here. Let's go back to examples, -20, save and run. What we have learned up until in the last 3 sessions is the output and the input arguments inside the callback. Input is used as an input, an argument inside the callback function that we listen to, right? Whenever it's updated, if the user updates the radio button or the drop down, we listen to it as an input, in this case the value of the radio button, and the output will be impacted, will be updated based on the object returned in the callback function. Now, there's another thing called state. State is exactly like an input argument. It has component ID, it has component property. The only difference is that, and we have to add it to the callback function. If it's a state, it's exactly like the inputs. It's similar. You need another argument here. Let's call it, I don't know, state arg, whatever we choose. And so it's very similar to the input. You need it here, and you need to declare it a component ID and component property. The only difference is that state does not trigger the callback. And this is going to be more and more important as you develop more sophisticated Dash apps. For example, what if you have a Dash app that has a radio button and has a drop down and a checklist, and each one of these and all of them will update your graph? But maybe if you put everything, the value of this, the value of the checklist, and the value of the drop down as an input, every single time a user updates one of these components, the graph, the callback will be triggered and the graph will be updated. But you may not want that. You may want to say, I want the user to update the radio button, update the drop down, update the checklist, and only then hit the submit button. And when the submit button is clicked, then the graph is updated. Then the callback is triggered. For that, you need to put everything in state except for the button. Let's see an example. Let me copy this code here so it becomes a lot clearer for you to explain the state. I'm going to copy all of this. This is the annex B file. Put it in here. Save and run. All right. Here we have a similar app to what we had before. We have a drop down. Not drop down. This is the radio button, 101 radio button, and this is the drop down. All right. Now you see, right now, I have this callback right here. No state, just an input and output. The two inputs are the value of the radio button and the value of the drop down. So anytime I change one of these, the callback will be triggered and the graph will be built and displayed on the page. But what if we wanted to give the user a chance to update both components, both radio button and drop down, and only then modify the graph, right? Only after they update both of these, then we trigger the callback and the graph will be updated. For that, we need to add a button and trigger the callback only when the button is triggered. So we have to put these two in state and state, right? I don't think it's even going to work without the button. Yeah, we need a button. We need an input. We're going to put an input here, and the input is going to be our button. Let's add a button. Let's add this button right here. You can add any button you want. Let's put it right here. Okay, we have one button called submit. And the ID is my button. So we're going to add the ID to the input right here as a component ID, and the component property will be n clicks. This is how you listen to the clicks of a button. Save and run. So we have one button. No, we need three arguments. We have three inputs and two state. We need three arguments here. So we'll call underscore comma. This will be the n clicks. Okay. So now there's no graph. There's nothing. We did not update the function yet. We have a button and two components. But look at what's happening right now. I'm changing the radio button and I'm changing the drop down and nothing has happened. Why is that? Because these two values are inside state arguments. And state arguments, y chosen, x chosen, do not trigger the callback. They listen to what's happening, but they're not triggering the callback. The only time the callback will be triggered is if I click on this button submit, which will make the n clicks equal 1 and then 2 and then 3. So this will be 1 and then 2 and then 3. And only then is the callback triggered, because only this is the input. So I'm going to submit. Oh, it's the same. Submit, updated the graph. Submit, updated the graph. And so on and so on and so on. All right? That's very important. Input and state are 99% similar. They have the same component ID, component property that you have to define. You need to add them to the callback function arguments, but the only difference is one triggers the callback while the other state does not. Okay, let's look into another advanced callback feature called no update. Right here, no update. I'm gonna show you with this piece of code right here. Let's look at this piece of code. Also in the resource package under the video, I want to copy everything. I'm going to replace our code right here. Save and run. All right, did it work? No, I'm not sure it did. 1 second. Oh yeah, it did. It did. All right. So here we have one input and two states, like the app we just built a second ago. It only changes when we hit the submit button. But we added the no update argument. Why did we add this? Because we have two outputs, which means we need to return two objects. And these outputs are the figure that we update and the isOpen property of app alert. Let's go to app alert. It's right here. It's a DBC alert. And isOpen is false, or nothing. It's not open. But whenever isOpen is true, the alert appears on the page. And so we always have to return two objects because we have two outputs. But in the first case, we do not want to update the graph. We just want to say return alert true. And this first case is if chosen, if Y chosen, the radio button is pop, and the X chosen is country. We're going to say submit. Oops, pop. Submit. Try a different combination, please. And why did I do that? Because I know from the last app that population and country just looks very, very bad. Like the graph is very hard to read, it's very small, and it doesn't make sense. So I do not want to update the figure in that case. I just want the alert to show, to display. So the first object is the figure. I'll say do not update. Whatever it was before, life expectancy, country, keep it as the same graph. We're not updating it. We're only updating the alert. Otherwise, if we have any other combination that is not pop and country, any other combination, then create your figure, display the figure, and do not update the second output, which is open. Don't update it. Keep it as false. Save and close. Save and run, sorry. We'll do GDP and continent, submit. You see? So nothing is, the alert is not happening, it's not being updated, just the fig is shown on the page. So this is what you want to use no update for. Typically you'll see it when you have one callback that updates like 3 different graphs, but sometimes you want only 1 or 2 of the graphs to be updated and the third not to be updated because for whatever reason. So you have to add the no update argument. All right, 2 more advanced features of the callback. The prevent initial call. Prevent initial call is what you need to use when you don't want the callback to initially trigger. We're going to do here, line 44, prevent initial call equals true. All right? So what this does, it's saying, let's do save and run. Do not trigger the callback, right? You have your layout, you have your radio buttons, you have your drop down, you have your button, and the DCC graph has an empty dictionary here. So that's why you see an empty figure, right? Because we do not trigger the callback. Just remember that every time you refresh or load a Dash app for the first time, all callbacks in a Dash app will be triggered. Sometimes, as the creator of the app, you don't want that experience for your user. You may want to say, well, this callback right here actually relies on the user to click a button, and to fill out a form and send a form or send a payment, or I'm waiting for the user to click the button to extract data from an API or pull data from an API or an external database. So you don't want the callback to trigger and do that before the user actually clicked the button or asks for that service or that data. So you have to put prevent initial equals true. The callback will still be working, but not the first time. The first time it will not be triggered. No matter what input or state or how many inputs or state you have, the callback will not be triggered the first time. Last but not least is a duplicate callback, duplicate outputs. A duplicate callback output is when the same component property pair is an output on more than one callback. Same component property pair. Meaning, a component property pair is the ID of the component ID and the component property are exactly the same in another callback. In Dash, you cannot have that because of how Dash builds the callback. The only way to allow the same output, the exact same output in another callback, is to add allow duplicate callback. Let's see an example here. Okay, I have another callback here. We need to add also prevent initial call equals true. All right, so look at this. We have the exact same output, graph 1 figure and then graph 1 figure. This is not allowed in Dash by default. We recently added this feature where if you want to update the same output, then you need to allow duplicate equals true and prevent initial call. If you do that, then this would work and you won't have any error. All right? Sometimes this will happen when you have a very large callback with like 10 different drop downs and inputs and radio buttons, and you don't want everything to go into one callback. You want to divide it into half of the controls and the inputs will be in this callback, and for another reason, another half will be in the other callback. Updating the same graph, right? Maybe you have a drop down and a radio button to update this graph, and then you have another section of the app like pulling an external database that updates the same graph as well. Well, you need two different callbacks and two of the same outputs, exactly same outputs. So you need to add allow duplicate equals true and prevent initial call. All right, everybody, so that was the advanced features of the callback. I hope you did learn a lot. I hope it was useful. Don't forget to check out the resource package under the video and all the links that I shared. Don't forget to do your assignment for this assignment session number 4. And I just want to share a few words on best practices when building your Dash app. You always want to, sometimes when people build their Dash apps, they get excited about the layout and the styling and the data, and they really want to get the layout and the styling and make the app beautiful as a priority, as the first thing they do. And that's typically not the best practice. The best practice would be to not worry about the styling or beauty or even layout, rows and columns. Just put one thing above the other. Keep it simple. You want to practice building your graph. You want to practice building your callbacks. Make sure that you get the right data, that you get the right component properties or the right components, and that you successfully trigger and carry out your callback before you ever try to focus on the layout and the styling and the beauty of the app, because it's not as important, right? And it might be difficult to add all the callbacks if you focus on the layout first. So keep it simple, make your app work successfully, make sure that you're content with how your app is working, and then start working on the layout and the styling. Also, always try to print the inputs and arguments inside your callback function. This is really going to help you understand what you're working with. Print y chosen, and also print the data type y chosen. This is really going to help you understand what data you're working with, what the input looks like. Is it a list? Is it a dictionary? Is it a string? Sometimes we think it's a string, but it's a list. Because then when you're sure, then you can use it to update databases, filter the database, update graphs. And you don't know how many times we make mistakes where we think this is a list, but it's actually a string. And that's why our pandas data frame is not updating. So make sure to print your arguments inside. All right. I hope it was helpful. Don't forget to check out the forum for any questions and answers. And I'll see you in the next session. Good luck with the assignment. Bye-bye.